Hello footy fans, welcome to another episode of the ultimate AFL Wrap Up Show for 2017. Now in today's episode, I'll be looking back at week 3 of the JLT Community Series. We are one step closer to the season proper. So let's not muck around, let's get straight into having a look back at what was an interesting week 3 of the JLT Community Series. So week 3 of the JLT Community Series started at Etihad Stadium on Friday night with the Western Bulldogs hosting the Brisbane Lions, two teams who have not won a game in the JLT Community Series coming into this game. Now Marcus Bontempelli was a late withdrawal from the Western Bulldogs side. He was supposed to play, but he was a late withdrawal before the game even started. Not sure what that was about, but yeah, the Western Bulldogs come into this match without Marcus Bontempelli, as well as a lot of their premiership stars. Of course, both sides looking to experiment a bit more before going into the season proper. Of course, we know that's what the practice games are about. They're about experimenting and also trying new things and getting a real format before the season proper. Now, the Lions had the quarter-time lead, a 4-2 to 2-2 lead to the Lions. They did start off well in the first quarter. The Dogs did come back a little, but the Lions were able to hold the quarter-time lead. And then in the second quarter, the Dogs didn't even kick a goal. They kicked two behinds, and the Brisbane Lions had a good half-time lead against the Premiers, 6-3 to 2-4. The Lions leading at half-time there, and they led comfortably at three-quarter time, 9-6 to the Dogs, 1-5-7. The Dogs kicked a super goal in the third quarter, but wasn't enough in the end because the Dogs got beat by a side who struggled a bit last year. And of course, we know that Justin Leppage ended up losing his job last season, and they were on struggle street last season. But they've got it wasn't a comfortable win, but a good win nonetheless. The final score, the Dogs 1-6-13-58, defeated by the Brisbane Lions 0-10-6-66. Of course, the practice games aren't always about the score, but the Lions would feel pretty good beating the Premiers of last year, and you have to take some sort of confidence out of that game. So the super goal kickers, Suckling kicked a beauty of a super goal in the game, the only super goal of the game, and then the goal kickers for the Western Bulldogs, Jong and Stringer kicked two each, Clay Smith and Dale kicked singles. For the Brisbane Lions, Close, Robertson and Bell kicked two each, while Barrett, Keys, Zorko, Hipwood got on the scoreboard with singles. And then the best players for the Western Bulldogs, Picken, Jong, Dunkley, Suckling, while Martin, Beams, Zorko, Bewick and also Andrews make up the Lions' best players. And then the injuries, well, another devastating injury for the Western Bulldogs. It is Rourke Smith. He's done a knee, he's done an ACL, he'll be out for the rest of the season, and that is very sad news because he's had a lot of injuries in his time and he's just, for some reason, very injury prone. So Rourke Smith, unfortunately, injuring his ACL, and well, you'd expect that he'll be out for a lot of the season, no doubt about that. So yeah, unfortunately, injuries just keep occurring for the Western Bulldogs. A really mystery kind of injury from Jordan Roughead a couple of weeks ago in their first JLT Community Series game, and now Rourke Smith is out as well. So look, 4,000, nearly 5,000 people actually attended this game at Etihad Stadium. It was a good start to week 3 of the JLT Community Series. Friday night, the two Sydney teams clashed at Blacktown International Sports Park, the Greater Western Sydney Giants and the Sydney Swans, two sides who got to the preliminary final stage in last year's final series. Of course, the GWS, however, got knocked out and the Sydney Swans went through to the grand final. This was an interesting game. The Sydney Swans had the quarter-time lead 2-2 to the Giants 0-3. It was an interesting half-time lead. The GWS Giants 1-3-6 to the Sydney Swans 0-5-3. And then another interesting three-quarter time score, 1-4-8 to the Sydney Swans 0-7-3. And in the end, the Swans were able to hold off the Giants and win the match. The final score 0-8-6-54. The Sydney Swans defeated the GWS Giants 1-4-9-42. The Giants getting the only super goal of the game. The goal kickers from the Giants, Kelly kicked one. And of course the Sydney Swans didn't kick a super goal. Kelly kicked the only super goal of the game. And then the goal kickers from the Giants, Ward, Smith, Torrento and Jeremy Cameron kicked singles, while for the Sydney Swans, Franklin and Towers kicked two each, while Robertson, Tippett, D. Cameron and Jay Kennedy kicked singles for the Swans. The best players from the GWS Giants, Callum Ward got best on ground from the Giants' point of view, and then Shaw, Kelly, Shield, Thomason and also Williams got in the best players as well. And then from the Swans, Kennedy, Mills, Lloyd, Parker, Rampy and Hannelbury got in the best players from the Swans' point of view. No injuries to both sides, which is very pleasing there. And over 2,600 people attended this game at Blacktown International Sports Park. Of course, there was a double header with the women's playing before the men. So the Sydney Swans, they get a win. Of course, they lost against North Melbourne in their first JLT Community Series match, so they get their first win in this pre-season series in what was a good battle by the two Sydney sides. Really looking forward to seeing what the rivalry will be like in the season proper this year between these two Sydney sides. The first of two matches on Saturday was played at Icon Park between Colton and St Kilda, a double header as well here at Icon Park, with Colton and Dogs clashing before Colton and St Kilda clashed. And well, this game, it started off quite close. It was about a 2-goal lead to St Kilda at quarter time, which is it was okay. It was still a close kind of quarter time score, 4-2 St Kilda to Colton 2-2. But then for some reason, St Kilda just blown off Colton and didn't let them into the game whatsoever throughout the entire match. Half-time, St Kilda led 8-4 to 3-3. This is where it really got worse. Three-quarter time, Colton didn't kick a score in the third quarter. They only kicked one behind. And St Kilda led 14-10 to Colton 3-4. And then in the end, St Kilda won pretty convincingly. It was a dominant performance by St Kilda in this game. The final score, Colton 4-6-30, defeated by St Kilda 18-14, 122. I mentioned Colton's game last week, how it was a pretty poor performance by them, and yeah, a bit of a poor performance in this game as well. Like, I know it's only pre-season, the score doesn't matter, but you got to say, you know, if you're getting beaten by that much in practice games, then it's not really a good look. So, yeah, not sure what's going on with Colton at the moment. I'm not sure whether they're just getting started, or this is just what what they're doing in practice matches. I don't know, but St Kilda, very good performance by them. No super goals in this game. The goal kickers, Curnow, Graham, Cunningham and Carriage kicked singles for Colton, while for St Kilda, Bruce kicked a massive 7. He had a day out. It's no question about that. Wright and Steele kicked 2 each for St Kilda, and then Sinclair, Michington, Nunes, Long, Greasham, Dunstan and also McCartan kicked singles for the Saints in this game. The best players, Wittering was the best player from a Colton point of view. Kerridge, White and Muchbank also getting in the best players for Colton, while the St Kilda best players, Bruce, no doubt the best player on the ground, 7 goals, that was outstanding. Steele, Billings, Stephen, McCartan, Longer and also Webster kicked singles each. Colton have a few injuries, Buckley and also Curnow. Buckley with a hip and Curnow with a shoulder. Not sure how severe that is, but hopefully that is not too severe from a Colton point of view. No injuries to St Kilda, who had a very big win in this game at Icon Park. They convincingly beat Colton in this Week 3 JLT Community Series game. The next game on Saturday was a much better game than the Colton and St Kilda game to start things off on Saturday. This game was quite close at Rushton Park in WA, in Mandurah, to be exact. It was a close 3-point lead to Fremantle at quarter time, 3-4 to 3-1, before Collingwood got away to lead 7-4 to 3-7 at half time. Fremantle pegged back, however, and led 1-9-10 to Collingwood 0-9-4 at 3-quarter time. And in the end, it was a very close battle, and Fremantle were able to win by 2 points. The final score 111-12-87, defeating Collingwood 112-4-85, and a very close battle there at Rushton Park on Saturday. The super goal kickers, there were two super goals, Bradley Hill and Howe on the board there with those super goals. Of course, Bradley Hill for Fremantle and Jeremy Howe for Collingwood. And then the goal kickers from Fremantle, Walters kicked 3, Griffin, Langdon kicked 2 each, while Bradley Hill, McCarthy, Sandilands and also S. Hill kicked singles each for the Dockers, while for Collingwood, Cox kicked 3, for Solo kicked 2, Moore, Phillips, White, Trelaw, Varco, Greenwood and also Adams kicked singles each. And the best players, Sandilands got best player for Fremantle, while S. Hill, Walters, B. Hill, Hamling and Fife also got in the best players for Freo as well. For Collingwood, Howe, Adams, Cox, Grundy, Trelaw and Phillips got in the best players from a Collingwood perspective. Kirsten is injured, and just over 5,500 people attended the game at Rushton Park on Saturday. So very close battle, this one. It was an entertaining game on a lovely Saturday afternoon. Two games on Sunday to finish off Week 3 of the JLT Community Series for 2017, both in South Australia, just in different parts of the state. I'll start with the first game, the Adelaide Crows and Geelong, where things were tied at quarter time. Adelaide 1-1-0 to Geelong 0-2-3. It was an interesting scoreline at half time, with Geelong leading 1-4-8 to Adelaide 1-4-0. The Crows managed to get away though in the third quarter and lead by a pretty good margin, 197 to Geelong 149. But Geelong somehow came back a little bit in the fourth quarter to make it very, very interesting, but it wasn't enough. Even though the Crows didn't kick a score in the fourth quarter, they did hold off Geelong and win 197-70 to Geelong 1-7-13-64. So the Crows win there, and they win by 6 points. Let's have a look at the super goal kickers. From Adelaide, Atkins kicked one of the super goals, and from Geelong, Daniel Menzel kicked the other super goal there. So two super goals kicked in the game, one from each side. The goal kickers from the Crows, Walker and Atkins kicked 2 each, as well as Cameron, Smith, Menzel and Deer kicked singles each, while from Geelong's goal kickers, Menzel, Stanley, Paffett, Tui, Cockatoo, Lang and Horland Smith all kicked singles. No multiple goal kickers from the Cats in this game. And the best players, Adelaide, Atkins, Crouch, Hampton, Hardikin, Lade and Walker got the best players there from the Crows, while from the Cats, Tui, Henderson, Holland Smith, Lang, Guthrie and also Mingola got in the best players there from the Cats. And then the injuries, well, there were a few injuries in this game. Dean Gore got a head knock in the fourth quarter. It was a collision with Cockatoo. He is cleared though, I think, Cockatoo. So I think he got reported, or obviously the MRP looked at it, but he is cleared. So that is good from Cockatoo's point of view, but hopefully Gore is okay from that head knock. And Lincoln McCarthy got a shoulder injury in the second quarter, so not sure how severe that is. Of course, just over nearly 4,000 people attended this game. And then the final game was Port Adelaide and Richmond. This game at Mouseseat Park, and Port Adelaide had a quarter-time lead. They led by nearly a goal, 3-2 to 2-3. They led by. At half-time, Richmond, however, took the lead and led at half-time 8-6 to 4-3. And it just went from there, really. Richmond were able to hold off Port Adelaide for the entire game, funnily enough, and won the game. 11-13-79 defeated Port Adelaide 7-9-51. Richmond seemed to be in good touch in this pre-season series. I'm not sure how much we should read into this. We know they had a poor season last season. Are they about to turn the tables a little bit and bounce back really quickly? Who knows? I'm fascinated on how Richmond can actually go this season, because I have a bit of a tinkling that they might be better than last year and they might be up there. I don't know what it is, but you know, they have made some good recruitments this year, so maybe they might be back up there. Who knows? But you know, it's only pre-season; it's hard to tell. But they have been pretty good wins against the Crows and Port Adelaide, of course, under-strength teams by both oppositions. But anyway, no super goals in this game. Port Adelaide's goal kickers S. Gray, Westhoff, Artley, Dixon, Eddie, Pollock, and also Imby got the singles there. And then Richmond's goal kickers, Lloyd kicked 3, Rewald kicked 2, Martin Vustland, Catagna, Butler, Rioli, and Nakavis kicked singles each. While for the best players for Port Adelaide, Winesburg, Pollock and Harlett, and the best players from Richmond, Cochin, Rance, Miles, Rewalt, Lloyd, and also B. Ellis. Pittard has an injury, left hamstring, while Wingard has a right thigh injury that was both sustained in this game. And then just over 4,500 attended this game at Mouseseat Park. So there is week 3 of the JLT Community Series. On now to having a look at the unofficial ladder of the JLT Community Series for 2017. So every team in the JLT Community Series has played 2 games, with the final week coming up this weekend, where every team will play a third game. St Kilda currently leads on top of the table on percentage. Their percentage is pretty large after that big win against Colton, so they are first on the table there. Melbourne, who didn't play this week but got a good win against the Dogs and Colton in the first 2 weeks, is second. Richmond is third after two wins there. The Gold Coast Suns yet to lose a game as well. They are there in fourth, rounding out the top 4 there. North Melbourne, of course, have also won their first 2 games, and they are 5th. The Giants 6th after losing to the Swans. The West Coast Eagles are 7th with 1 win, 1 loss. The Sydney Swans won this week against the Giants. They are 8th, 1 win, 1 loss there. Collingwood won their first game but lost their second game against Fremantle on the weekend. They sit there in 9th, 1 win, 1 loss, of course. The Crows in 10th with 1 win and 1 loss. Hawthorn are 11th. Of course, they won at UTAS Stadium in week 1 but lost their second game to North Melbourne, so they are 11th. The Brisbane Lions won their first game of the JLT Community Series on the weekend, so they are 12th. They've moved to 12th. Fremantle have moved from the bottom of the ladder after that win over Collingwood and sit in 13th. Geelong are 14th without a win, while Essendon is 15th without a win. The Dogs, the Premiers, sit on 16th without a win. Port Adelaide 17th without a win, and finally Colton, who sit on the bottom of the ladder after a bad two losses against Melbourne and St Kilda. So that is the JLT Community Series, the unofficial ladder of the pre-season series. It's always interesting to see where teams stand in a series like that, even though it's not serious in some sense, but it's always interesting. So that is the unofficial JLT Community Series ladder for 2017. And that is it for this episode of the Ultimate AFL Wrap Up Show, where I wrapped up week 3 of the JLT Community Series. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, don't forget to like, comment, share this video, subscribe, and make sure to stay tuned for the Ultimate AFL Preview Show, episode 4 this week. I'll be previewing the final round of the JLT Community Series. There's 9 games in week 4 of the pre-season series, so a massive last week of the pre-season series coming up. And then don't forget to stay tuned for the ultimate AFL Wrap Up Show next week, where I'll wrap up all those 9 games from the 4th week of the pre-season series. And then after that, we're into the real stuff. We're into the AFL season proper. I cannot express how excited I am for the season to get underway. So, of course, it gets underway March 24th between Richmond and Colton at the MCG. Cannot wait for that. So, well, until next time, I'm Jacob. Bye for now.